as usual for steering us through this conversation and helping us get a better understanding of those numbers. But let's move on now and speak about corporate results. MCX's second quarter profit is down 24% due to higher expenses. Margins too have contracted. Let's get more details from Mrugank Paranjape. He's the MD and CEO at MCX. Good to have you, Mr. Paranjape. What was the average daily turnover trend in the September quarter? Take us through that first.
So I think the biggest important factor on the turnover numbers in the second quarter has been the impressive growth we have seen in our metal segment. As we all know, there has been a lot of rally in the overall metal segment in this quarter. Given our engagement with the market, we took this opportunity, engaged with the algo players, with the physical market, and made sure that people who were looking at those opportunities actually participated on the exchange. Bullion, while compared to the downtrend that we had seen after demonetization, we saw the uptick coming on account of the rate of GST stabilizing, as well as the benefits of GST, which are around the better and much easier interstate movement of goods. I think bullion did not go up so much because there was still a little bit of concern that the underlying segment had on account of the PMLA. So with that concern going away, I think bullion should pick up the growth that we saw and should go back to the earlier levels that we had been seeing in the bullion contract. So those would be the two big trends from a overall perspective that we saw in the last quarter.
Right. Given that there was a volume recovery from first to the second quarter, what was the underlying revenue growth trend, sir?
So I think the way to look at some of these numbers is what we've been discussing with all of you for the first two quarters as well. One, ADT going up, very natural corollary is that our operating income is up. However, yes, in this second quarter there was, the whole interest curve movement in September gave us slightly lower returns on our other income. In fact, it's as compared to the previous quarter, it's lower than the previous quarter. So the net impact is that our overall revenue is up 5%. But because of the very good control that we've had on our cost base, from a profit perspective, we still delivered a PAT growth of 10% and EBITDA margin growth of 10%. And I think that's what we would like to make sure that we can continue on a quarter-on-quarter basis, which is to make sure that our cost base remains flat except for the fully variable costs. And thereafter all the incremental ADT would literally flow to the bottom line. So that's what we would want to make sure that we can continue for the rest of the quarter as well.
And it has been long awaited, and since the June quarter as well, finally the launch of gold options contracts. What's the scale of the launch in terms of the offering size?
So I think we are really very happy. We're really looking forward to the launch of our options contract on the gold futures. This will happen on the auspicious day of Dhanteras. Coincides with the fact that many people look to buying gold on that day. We are again extremely happy that the Honorable Finance Minister will be launching this contract that day. Now, given that we have sort of engaged with the entire fraternity, jewelers, importers, bullion traders, we are really looking forward to a great response to this product. We will try and capitalize on that and make sure that this product succeeds, so that we can all then go back to the regulator and get more approvals for some of the other futures where the volumes qualify, and therefore we can offer options contract hopefully by the end of the fourth quarter.
Mr. Paranjape, could you also share the number of hedge funds and maybe other institutions that are already enrolled for trading in commodities in gold option contracts? And it will define volume growth potential also going ahead. So if you could give us a sense of the number of entities that have already enrolled or are expressing interest in the same.
So I think traditionally, and for all of us who've been in these markets for long, institutional investors are not as fast and early adapters as the retail market. So we've been very lucky to have our first institutional trade happen very quickly. But I think in terms of expanding that number, that will happen on a gradual basis. We do expect a couple of more AIFs to enroll this quarter. At the same time, we are very confident and we are looking forward to now sort of the development that SEBI will do in terms of allowing mutual fund and PMS, and we hope that will happen in the next quarter. So I think overall we will see a slow and steady growth in that segment. In terms of volume numbers, it may be too early to start tracking those separately, but we will surely be tracking them from next year, and we'll report them separately as well.
Right, and Mr. Paranjape, lastly, before we let you go, what are the other instruments, I mean, apart from gold options that you're looking for lined up after this for launches? I mean, if you can give us a sense of what are the other contracts that could be traded or could be seen traded on your platform?
So one, there is a criteria that SEBI has laid down in terms of which futures contracts are eligible. There are at least another 7-8 contracts we believe on our platform which will become eligible by the time we can go for the next contract. What we did last time as well was extensive consultation with the entire value chain. We will do that. What we want to bring to the table is something where the market can benefit both for the traders as well as for the hedgers, and therefore we will look to our next contract in that space. It could be in the energy segment on crude, it could be something on the base metals in zinc or copper, it could well be on silver as well, but not to forget that we have products like CPO and cotton, where we also think we can offer an options contract in the future as well.
Fair point, Mr. Paranjape. We're going to leave it at that, but thank you so much for sparing the time for being with us, explaining to us your quarterly numbers and also the all-awaited gold options contracts and what other contracts could we see trading on your platform as well. But that's all the time that we have in this edition of Trending Today. Thank you so much for watching.